Hey guys, welcome back to yet another Delphi programming tutorial video, and in this video we're going to be learning how to capture the desktop on multiple monitors. By the way, this is going to support as many monitors as you have attached to your computer through the Windows operating system, and we're going to be able to lock on to different monitors and stream them over a TCP socket connection. So we're going to have a server and a client. So this is the client and this is the server. First things first, let's go ahead and give this bad boy a theme, and we're going to design our graphical user interfaces. So let's go ahead and click on Appearance. I'll just do Windows 11 Impressive Dark or something, and I'll do the same for this one. So let's go Project, Options, wait for this to come up, and we'll give it the same theme as the other one. So it'll just be Windows 11 Impressive Dark. And then what we're going to do is pop back over to the server, and we're going to call this Desktop Streaming Server. And then we're going to come over here to the client, and we're just going to call it caption of Desktop Streaming Client. Just like that. So now, back on the server, let's go ahead and get started designing. So we're going to get a T-image. And we're going to slap that down on there, and we're going to make it pretty big. We're going to probably pull it all the way over to about right here. Pull this up, pull this over, and then we're going to pull this down just a hair, and we're going to add some components on. First of all, we're going to need a combo box. So let's grab ourselves a standard combo box and throw it over here in the corner. And then we're going to clear out the text of the combo box and make it equal to nothing. And then we're going to grab us a button. So there's a button. And we're going to line that up with the combo box and pull it all the way across the screen. Button's caption is going to be Start Desktop Capture. And then let's pull this back a little bit. And I'd like to try to line this up and also give this like at least a label, so that way we can kind of tell what we're kind of doing over here on the right hand side. So let's pull this here, and let's put the caption of this label to Select Monitor, and we're going to pull that to the left and pull it down and match it up just right where it needs to be. Okay, great. That looks pretty good to me. How about you guys? So then pull this up just a hair, and we're going to grab ourselves a status bar. And that's going to be a Win32 status bar. We're going to right click on the status bar, go to Panels Editor. This little window is going to pop up. We're going to hit it one time to create a new one. We're going to set the width to 150 and press Enter to make sure that value gets entered in. Then we're going to change the text to Total Monitors and a 0. And now our application is fully designed. Great, fabulous. All we have to do at this point is grab ourselves a server source. We're going to be using the Netcom7 TCP socket library to achieve this. So we're going to leave it at that, and then we're going to grab ourselves a timer. And we're going to throw the timer down onto the form. And we're just going to leave it default name timer 1. We're not going to do anything meaningful. It's not really necessary. So we're going to save that. We're going to save this. And so on the client endpoint, let's go ahead and just design this. There's really no designing necessary. This would actually be either hidden or shown to the user depending on what you're going to use this application for. But what we do need are 2 timers and a client socket connector. So the timer 1, we'll just leave that at timer 1. For this one, however, let's give this timer 2 a proper name. We're going to name it, and we're going to disable both of these, by the way. So disable, and then do that. The timer 2 needs to be, let's put the timer 1 interval to 500 milliseconds. That's half a second, and timer 2 will be 6,000 for 6 seconds. Timer 2 is going to be renamed to Connection Timer. This timer will be used to essentially reconnect the client if it gets disconnected for any reason, okay? Even though the socket library I'm about to show you guys, the Netcom, it actually handles it for you, but I like to have an extra layer just in case the timer code fails to execute or something. So I'm going to do client source, and we're going to throw that down onto the form, and we're just going to leave it named NC client source 1. All right, we're going to hit save, and our applications are now designed and ready to start programming. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and start developing on our server endpoint, which this endpoint is really not that difficult to program because it doesn't do the screenshot capturing work. It's just responsible for receiving commands from the client to see how many monitors the client has, and then we want to be able to select it, send that over, and start capturing. The timer will be used to send over like every 1 second or so, and in fact we really should probably change that to 500 milliseconds. Let's go ahead and do that. Just put 500 in there. The faster you want the streaming to come in, you make this lower if you'd like. Now this is not a very good idea using timer, guys. This is like primitive as absolute hell, but I'm not going to do threading in this episode. We're just going to do a simple example. This is just to teach you guys how to stream different data types over sockets, in this case an image. So imagery from the opposing endpoint back over to the server. So let's go ahead and let's start programming, guys. Gee, where should we start? I guess we could just start on the button, I guess. So let's just start on the button then, all right? So we'll put if self.button1.caption is equivalent to something. We'll put start desktop capture. If it's equal to that, if the caption of the button is equal to start desktop capture, then we're going to begin doing something here. And that something is going to be, we're going to say self.button1.caption equals stop desktop capture. And then we're going to say self.timer1.enabled equals true. So we're going to enable the timer. Now, what we'll do is we're going to come down here and make an else statement. So we're going to say else begin end. So otherwise, if the button's caption was not start, that means it has to be stop. So we're going to have to reset it back to start capture. So self.button1.caption is equal to start desktop capture. And then we're going to come down and say self.timer1.enabled equals false. And guys, that's pretty much it for that button. Let's go do the timer code. So on the timer code, we're going to essentially have to make it, our server send out a command to the client. In this case, I'm just going to do a loop command, which sends to any clients that are connected, just for the sake of doing it, because I don't want to design this just for one specific client. You guys can easily change up this code and make it work however you would like. So we're going to have clients, which is going to be a T-socket list, and then we're going to have I as an integer. Now, if you guys notice the T-socket list is red, that's because the Netcom7 socket library has a specific unit inside of it called, and I believe it's hang on a minute here, guys, TNC socket list. I think that's the name of it. It might just be NC socket list. It's just NC socket list, and that'll fix the problem. So now we can continue programming. So on this portion, what we're going to do is we're going to basically loop through the clients. So we're going to say we have to lock our list of clients on the server so we can start looping through them. So we'll say clients is equivalent to NC server source 1.lines.locklist. Now we're going to loop through. So we're going to try to loop through. And once we're done looping through everyone and sending data out to get screenshots, we have to unlock our list. So NC server source 1.lines.unlock list. So let's go ahead and do our loop code now, and we're going to send a command out to the client that's connected, or clients in this case rather, if there's more than one connected, which this program is only designed to have one connected, but oh well. So we're going to say try, and we're going to do a for statement here. We're going to do for I is equal to 0 to, and here let me get this mouse off of this so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I is equal to, from 0 to the clients.count minus 1, do begin. And we're going to put some code into this. So we're going to put nc server source 1.execute command. It's asking us for a line. We're going to do clients.lines, and then I for the current person we're looping over. 0 for the second parameter for a command, because we don't have any command that we're expecting an async result from or anything like that. We're just going to do bytes of. We're sending a string, and then we are doing false for the last parameter. So inside of the string, we're going to say screen, shot, and a pipe. And we're also going to do, after we've done that, we're going to put a plus here. We're going to send over the combo box index for the monitor that we would like to capture from. Now, I haven't actually gotten around to this part just yet because we haven't actually received any data in here yet, but don't worry, guys, we're going to do that soon. So just know that whenever you click the start button, it's going to check and see if it needed to be started. If it did, it'll enable the timer. The timer will execute and tick, and it'll continue ticking every half a second and sending this command over and over and over and over and over. And while it's doing this, the client is receiving the screenshot command and it's going to stream over a screenshot every single time it receives this command. But here's the thing. On the client, we're going to take a screenshot, but we're not just going to take a screenshot of the first default monitor. We're going to make it to where on the server we actually have the power and ability to choose the monitor that we would like to screenshot from. So that's essentially my explanation for that. Okay, I hope I explained that good for you guys. So we're going to send over the index for the monitor that we would like to capture from. Okay, so in order to do that, rather than take the name of the monitor or whatever comes in here, we're going to actually choose the index of the item we have selected, which also matches the monitor's index. So let's go ahead and do that right now. To do that, we have to convert or typecast an integer to a string because, a monitor index is an integer. So int to str, and then combo box 1 dot item index. And that is pretty much that. So now we've done it. That's essentially the entire code for the timer. We're done. So now what we have to do is we have to go to the server, and we're going to have to set up a couple of things like, for example, on the events, we're going to have to handle the connected, disconnected, and on handle command event procedures. So that's right here. That's connected, disconnected, and handle command. So when a client does get connected, what do we want to do? We want to add something in here. So we want to say basically self.caption. So the form's caption will be changed to self.caption. So we're going to change the caption of the form to whatever it is, plus, and then we're going to do space, a little pipe to separate some text, and we're going to say client connected. And that's pretty much all we're going to do. That's that. And then we're going to come down and we're going to say self.button1.enabled is true. And right now, guys, I'm going to disable this button, the start capture button. We're going to put the property of enabled to disabled. So enabled, look for ease, enabled, turn it to false. That means this button cannot be clicked. But whenever a client does successfully connect to the server socket, we're going to enable that button so the user can actually click it. Okay, so whenever the person from the client side comes and connects to us, then we're going to say someone connected, and we're going to enable the button. That's all we're going to do on the onConnect code. Okay, guys, really dirt fucking simple. So now we got to do the disconnected event procedure. So on the disconnect event procedure, so this is when someone disconnects, right? First of all, if someone disconnects abruptly, we want to make sure that the timer 1 is not enabled. Stop capturing screenshot immediately. That way we don't have any errors and unforeseen issues. And then we also want to set the button to be enabled to false, because obviously no one's connected, so we're not going to be able to capture their screen until they reconnect, right? Self.button1.enabled is equal to false. And that's it. And so now we've done our connected and our disconnected. Now we have to go down and handle commands. So we're going to go there. And on this, we're going to create some variables. Now, this is a little in-depth, guys. Just try your best to keep up. I'll try to explain everything as I go along, but we're going to have to set up a command structure handler here for handling different commands. And we're also going to have to set up like a receiving queue to receive data from the client. And we're going to have to create a byte stream to take in the image data that we get from the client endpoint. So, and then we're going to have to show that image properly onto a TImage component, which is this one, and we're going to have to also free up any memory so we don't have memory leaks and stuff like that. So what we'll do is we're going to create a string list variable, and we're also going to create a monitor count, which is an integer. And we're going to do I, an integer for localized looping, BMP for tBitmap, which is going to be an image that we're going to be receiving, and a byte stream, which is going to be a tbytes stream. So now then, we have all the variables we need. So let's go ahead and start creating our string list. So SL is equal to tStringList.create. We're going to set the delimiter of this tString list to a pipe, if I can type. And then we're going to come down and say SL.strictDelimiter is equal to true. And then we're going to say the delimited text is equivalent to a string of a data. Now, if you guys are confused by this, this is inside of this procedure, this function here. This server, this component has its own events, right, that are written for us. Like, I didn't code this, somebody else did, right? So if you come in here and take a look, the function is for the server source to handle a command that's been sent to it from an opposing endpoint, from a client, right? And it has the sender as a T object, which is itself the actual server socket that is responsible for receiving this command. The line, which is the client's TCP line that we're actually talking with. Command is an integer, and then we have constant, which is going to be a data, which is T bytes. We also have a requires result, which is Boolean, true or false, and then a constant sender component and a receiver component, which are both strings. Now, 90% of this we'll not even really ever use. So we're just focused on the T bytes, the bytes received from the client. And as you can see, I'm using string of to convert the bytes to a string. So now that string has become our string list text. So we're going to say if SL0 is equivalent to monitors, then we're going to begin setting up our monitor count. Monitor count is going to be equivalent to string to integer SL1. And then what we're going to do is come down and say for I is equal to 0 to a high of the monitors count minus 1. So now we have the ability to loop the monitors. So we're going to actually go ahead and proceed. So let's do Control D here real quick, guys. I got to have this lined out so I can see what I'm doing. So basically, now that we have the ability to loop through our monitors count, we're going to, and this is monitor count, not monitors count. Sorry about that, guys. So basically, at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to add. So remember, this is whenever the client sends commands to us. So the client is trying to tell us the number of monitors that it has. So it sends a command over with monitors. And let me put it to be like this, guys. I hope I explained this good. So our command structure is as follows. Monitors, right? And then it's a pipe, and then it's going to be a number. In this case, I have 2 monitors, so I'm going to keep it like this. So this is what we receive. This is the data. This is the data from the client. And so that means that this is placeholder 0, and this is placeholder 1 in the string list. So you see how a string list 0 parameter is monitors. Get it? And the string list 1 is actually the integer value of how many monitors we have. Okay, now I'm going to erase these, but I hope you guys understand that. It's so simple to understand, right? So now that we have received the monitors command statement, we're going to grab the number of monitors that was sent to us from the client side, and we're going to loop through however many there are, and we're going to add them to our combo box on our graphical interface, which is right here. So we can actually select which monitor we'd like to screenshot from, right, from the client. So we're going to say combo box 1.items.add, and then we're going to say monitor, and then a space, and then a plus, and we're just going to simply do the integer that we received for the monitor count, to string I, and that is that. So now we're going to come down, and we're going to say combo box 1.item index is going to be equivalent to 0. So we set it to the default monitor of 0 or 1 or whatever their default monitor is inside of the thing. And actually, I'd like to fix this. There. I prefer doing code like that. So now we've looped through the monitor count, and we've added all of the monitors to our combo box. So if there's a monitor number 1, monitor number 2, monitor number 3, etc., right? Then we've set the default monitor up automatically to be the default selected item on the combo box, so we don't have to click the combo box to select the first one. And then we're going to go ahead and update our status bar, which is down here in the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to change the total monitor count and update it down here as well. So we're going to say the status bar 1.panels 0 .text is equivalent to total monitors, and then plus int to str combo box 1.items.count. Since we already filled the combo box with all the monitors, we could actually just pull from the combo box total number of things, and that's the actual active monitor count. So there you have it. And then underneath this, we're just going to exit this. Now, we're not done here, because now we have to receive a screenshot from the client. So this is actually quite simple. All we really have to do is say if SL0 is equivalent to whatever we want it to be. In this case, I'm going to put screenshot. That's capital S in screen, capital S in shot. Then begin. We're going to make a separate thread to handle this data. So we're going to go tthread.q, and then we are going to put the first parameter, which is a thread, as nil, because we don't have a specific thread we're going to shove this to. We're just going to create a new one. We're going to let Windows manage it. So let's come on down here and type in end, and then come up. We're going to do procedure, and then we're going to go begin, and we're going to make a byte stream, and that's going to be equivalent to, and here, let me pull this out of here so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm creating a byte stream, and this byte stream is a tbytes stream dot create, and we're going to copy the data. We're going to copy from a data 11 characters over to the length of a data. And then we are going to do that. And then we're going to do self.image1.picture.loadFromStream, and that is going to be the byte stream. Now we're going to come down and say bytestream.free. Let's make sure that we're spelling this correctly, guys. Make sure you spell everything correctly, otherwise Delphi will bitch at you. Okay, so now we're going to come to this, and we're going to pop that out, and we're going to type exit and get out of that. Control D. So now that we've created this, we are pretty much done as far as I can tell with the client endpoint. I do believe we are finished, guys. I really do. So basically at this point, it's just a matter of programming the server, or the client side. Server's done. Client is all that's left, I think. Let me just make sure, kind of go over the code a little bit. Well, if we're missing anything at all, I will definitely tell you what. Actually, there might be one other thing. Let's go to the combo box, because obviously when we change the index to go from like the first screen to the second screen, we might want to do some coding in here. So let's do on change event procedure. So on combo box change, we might want to, I'll tell you what, we'll just leave it blank. We may not have to do it after all. Let's move over to the client. So now that we've written our server and whatnot, it's time to go ahead and take a look at our client side. So on the client side, we have the client socket, a timer 1, and a connection timer. Now, we're going to go ahead and program the connection timer. So before we do that, when the program runs, the form is going to load, and we're going to say form1.connectionTimer.enabled is equal to true, because obviously there's not been a connection made yet. So we're going to enable this timer and let it start ticking every 6 seconds. And inside of the timer's code, we're going to go ahead and set up our socket connection. We're going to do a try statement. We're not going to let it do finally. Instead, we're going to do except on E, exception, do begin end, Control D. Now here, nothing. We're not going to do anything at all. We just don't want it to display errors to the users. We're just going to type in self.ncClientSource1.host, and that's going to be my local host. And then we're going to say self.nc.port is going to be equivalent to 3434. And then we are going to activate the client socket and make it try to attempt a connection. Self.ncClientSource1.active is equal to true. Let's also head back over to the server real quick, just to be sure we did set that up. So on the form create, we need to initialize our server socket and begin listening for clients. Self.ncServerSource1.port is equal to 3434. Self.ncServerSource1.active is equal to true. Now we can save that, head back over to the client, and that is that. So now this timer is fully set up. Now, whenever the client socket is able to actually establish a connection, we need to start programming over here. So let's program the socket a little bit. So when it does make an active connection, the onConnected event will fire. We're going to let that fire, and we're going to do a couple of little lines of code here. First of all, we're going to do timer, let's do timer1.enabled equals false, or true, sorry. And then the self.connectionTimer.enabled will be false. Timer1 is actually going to be, it's going to be responsible for actually sending over a one-time tick event. It's going to send over data telling the server how many monitors the client person that ran the client has. Okay, so when we connect, we need to send over the amount of monitors we have in timer 1, and we also need to make sure the connection timer is disabled so it doesn't keep trying to reconnect to an already established TCP socket connection. You get me? And those are the two lines of code we're going to do. Now we're going to go over to timer 1. Make sure both timers are falsified and enabled at design time. So make sure you click them. Make sure they're false on enabled and false on enabled. So on timer 1, we're going to go ahead and code this now. We're going to get the number of monitors. So we're going to do mon count, and that's going to be a string, even though it's an integer. You'll understand in a minute. First of all, we're going to tell this timer to go fuck itself. So timer1.enabled can be false. Now it's still going to go through this one tick, which is all we need. So we're going to say mon count is equivalent to int to str. So we're going to take the actual number of monitors and convert it to a string, which is mon count. So what we're going to do is say screen dot monitor count. And that's it, guys. It is that simple in Delphi. So now we're going to come down and we're going to say we're going to execute the command through the socket over. We're going to send the number of monitors over to the server. So self.nc client source 1 dot execute command, and we're going to do 0 for this. We do not have any simple command. We're just going to send it as a string. So we're going to do bytes of, and then we're going to do monitors with a pipe, and then plus mon count, and then we're going to do false because we're not expecting anything back. And that's it, guys. It is that simple. Save. So at this point, we've kind of written this up pretty well, but we do have quite a bit more to go, unfortunately. And this is for the client side of things. So let's go ahead. It looks to me as if we've got majority of it written, but we do need to focus on the client socket a bit more. Let's go to the events. So we've handled the on connected, but we also need to handle the on disconnect and the handle command. And so the handle command is the hard part. That's where we take the screenshot and all the other shit. So the on disconnect, let's get that out of the way real quick because it's nice and simple and it's only practically one fucking line of code. So that will be self.connectionTimer.enabled is equal to true. Because remember, if the client socket gets disconnected for any reason, we want the connection timer to start back up again and try to keep reconnecting us to the server. Get it? Alright, so now that we've done that, it's time to do the hard part. Let's go to the onHandle command portion. So this is going to be kind of the difficult part, guys, and you're just going to have to try and keep up, but we're going to make some variables here. We're going to make a tstring list, and then we're going to make I as an integer for localized looping, desktop image as string, and then that's just a string, and then we're going to do BMP, which is a T bitmap, and then we're going to do bytes byte stream, which is going to be a T bytes stream, and that is that. So those are our declarations, our variable declarations, and now we can begin programming. So again, we're going to do the same thing we did in our server. So we're going to do SL is a tstring list dot create. We're going to do SL.delimiter is equal to a pipe, and then we're going to do SL.strictDelimiter is equal to true again, and then we're going to come down and say SL.delimited text is going to be equal to. And again, guys, this information can be found right here in the function. We're currently speaking to this line, and these are the data bytes that we've received or should have received from the server. So we're going to convert these bytes to a string by stating string of a data. So now that we have received the information and shoved it into our string list, we can begin parsing out stuff properly and receiving different commands. So if SL0 is equivalent to screenshot, then we can begin doing something here. Sorry, guys. So we will we'll go ahead and start receiving or start processing to get a screenshot. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a BMP. It's going to be equal to, and we're going to have to create a procedure, a function that can return. Let me put it to you like this: we're going to write a procedure or a function rather, that is going to take a screenshot of the screen based off of an index integer, so we can lock on to one screen or another. And we're going to write that here in just a minute. But for now, this is going to be probably show up as red because I haven't written anything. We're just going to call it get screenshot here. And that is going to be an integer of string to int and the SL1, which is what we should have received from the server endpoint. So the server should have sent over the command screenshot and the number of the index of the monitor that we're trying to screenshot from. Okay, now we're not going to go any further with this until I've written the get screenshot function, which we're going to do right now. So let's go ahead and pop one up here, and we are going to go ahead and write this function real quick. And I hope this won't take me too long, but we're going to try to write it right here. So it's a function, and it is going to be called get screenshot. And we're going to put monitor index as an integer inside of it. And it's going to return a T bitmap. So inside of this, we're going to go ahead and start writing code to take a screenshot. Now, to do this, we're going to use a couple of different variables here. Monitor is going to be a T monitor, and the desktop handle, or the the desktop handle, we have to, let's just do something like HDC. This is used in the, I believe it is systems, WinAPI Windows HDC. So this is just a way for us to get the size and stuff out of the screenshot, like top XY coordinates and stuff like this and that. So whenever you hit like print screen or whatever we're going to do, it's going to actually give us the result in pixel formats and stuff like this and that. So let's go ahead and Control D that, and let's start writing this out. The result of this function is automatically, it's going to be a tbitmap.create. So that's the resulting bitmap image at the end. So we're going to have to go ahead and continue by trying, and we're going to set our monitor to the monitor's index that we passed through from the socket. So the monitor is going to be equivalent to screen dot monitors and the index. So the index is monitor index that we passed up through here, if you remember, right? So we passed that up there. The result dot pixel format needs to be equivalent to 32-bit. So pixel format 32-bit. Then we're going to say the result dot width of this image is going to be the monitor's width property. And then we're going to obviously move on to the height. So the result dot height is going to be equivalent to the monitor dot height. Then we're going to come down and say DC is equal to get desktop capture. And we're going to put 0. Actually, let me look at that, make sure that's, yeah, it's just asking for this. Okay, we'll put 0 in there, and then we're going to try something else. So we're going to come down and say bit blt result.canvas.handle, for the HDC is going to be XY width. It's asking for all this. So we'll do 0, 0, result dot width. And then we have to do the height, which is going to be the result dot height. And then the DC handle, and then the source, which is from the source X and Y. That's going to be monitor.left, I believe. And then for the Y, monitor.top. And then we're going to use a double word, src copy, I think. Hang on, let me make sure src copy. That should do it. Please, no errors. Oh, yeah, I got it first fucking time. Fuck yeah. All right. God damn, I've got shit memorized like a badass god. All right, so result.modified will be true. And then that's that. So now we're going to control D this, and we are going to release the DC 0 and our DC handle there. So then we're going to come down and say, finally, the result will be free, not free image, Jesus Christ, just free. And then we're going to say result is going to be equivalent to nil. Okay, Jesus Christ. I think that will do. So this function will get you a screenshot, or it should anyway. I hope it does. All right, so that should get you a screenshot. So now if we go down here, you're going to see that this code should actually function. So yes, the bitmap will be equivalent to getting a screenshot. The get screenshot function returns a bitmap image of whatever screen that you were trying to capture or spy on or whatever, right? So now we have the bitmap image in memory, and we're able to pull that shit. So we got our screenshot. Now we've got to continue the code, and here we're going to do a byte stream. So the byte stream will be equivalent to creating a T bytes stream, and then we're going to create that, and then we're going to say the BNP dot save to stream byte stream, and then we're going to say I is equivalent to the length of the let's say that it'll be the length of bytes of screenshot with a pipe. And then we have to do plus byte stream dot bytes. That should do. And then we can come down and put self dot nc client source 1 dot execute command. And this is where we're sending over the image through the stream for the TCP socket. So we're going to put this to 0, and then we're going to put bytes of, and the screenshot with a pipe. And then we are going to do plus byte stream dot bytes false. We do not require anything to come back. And then we're going to go bmp.free, and then bytestream.free, and then exit this. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm about to have a heart attack. I think that's it. I think we're actually finished. So at this point, we've got about 130 lines of code. Over half that we didn't even code ourselves because Delphi does all this for us anyway. But anyway, I think that might be it, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and give this a run just to see if I've forgotten anything. So let's run this real quick. And so here is the server running right here. I'm going to pull this out of the way so I can run the client real quick for you guys, okay? So client is coming online, and the client is on, and as you can see, I'm waiting. So we'll give this a sec. Oh, look at that. Looks like the client did connect, and it says client connected. We have 2 monitors being shown. So if you look, there's monitor 0 and monitor 1. Now, if you guys are confused about that, computers count from 0. So that's why it says monitor 0 is actually the first monitor to come in. And then monitor 1 is here as well. So monitor 0 is actually my main desktop monitor. And then monitor 1 is my extra monitor that I have attached as well. Now, my images are going to look distorted as absolute shit, guys. I'm just warning you, because I have 49-inch HD curved monitors, so they're absolutely fucking massive, and it's going to look ugly as shit. But I will go ahead and try to desktop capture this real quick. And looks like it's not actually working. So we probably forgot some code. Let me just close both of these out, and let's go back and take a look real quick. Sorry about that, guys. I had to check something real quick. The code is perfectly fine. I didn't change anything. Essentially, the problem is I have an inbound-outbound firewall software, and it was just kind of fucking with me. So I had to disable it for this and make it to where the socket would actually be able to connect. I've got my shit on lockdown, guys. All right, so I'm going to run this again, and we'll try this again, okay? So here's our desktop streaming server and our client. We're going to run it. And we're going to see that after a little bit, the client socket makes an active connection, and boom, there you go. Now what we're going to do is see that we have a total of 2 monitors. We can change from any monitor we'd like to spy on, and we can do it in real time while we're actually spying, so or streaming or whatever. So I'm going to click on Start Desktop Capture. And I told you guys, I'm warning you, it looks like shit because I have massive monitors. I'm stretching this image, and it's just pure ugliness, okay? So I'm going to switch over to monitor 1, and as you can see, we're now spying on monitor 1, and then we're going to spy on monitor 0, and then we're going to spy on monitor 1. So there you have it. I have an animated background. That's why you're seeing some fuzzy stuff here. Animated backgrounds are kind of weird, but anyway, it does work, and there you have it. So I'm going to close out of the client, and there you have it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm going to close this out. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, guys, and learned something from this. Being able to stream different data types across sockets is very important. Eventually in the future, I'll be doing one on audio data from your default microphone as well. So I'll be teaching you guys how to lock onto different microphones and capture data from them in PCM format. And send that over the socket connection as well in real time. But we will not be using TCP for something like that. We're going to be using UDP. That way it's much, much faster. And I'll probably be doing some UDP examples in the future for this as well, because to be honest with you, even if you multi-threaded this to absolute hell as far as the client endpoint and made it stream over really, really fast, you probably still wouldn't get a very good a speed quality per se. UDP is just better for streaming overall. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you liked my video, please obviously give it a like, and leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It'd really help me out. Until next time, guys, peace out.